Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
So here's what we're looking at now. Let's just back up just a little bit and explain what we're looking at. We got our blue Fibonacci line already plotted, red. So this is our range that I normally would work with, like we talked about yesterday. Below here's our red line to our green line. Now, these aren't arrow notifications. This is another tool called supply and demand that I use. This light pink means it's been down there. You can see the line that the price has been down to, so it's not bright green. And then you can see this pink area that's lighter pink and it has a dashed line. That means it's been touched there, which is right there. So yesterday we came in and we were just about, this is where we broke below the red line. I entered, took my profit when it came down. We were only looking for 7 pips, but notice where price had been ranging from. This red line is a strong area of resistance, but that doesn't mean we're not going to have overshoots. But I want to show you how all these are our fib retracements from the blue to red, red to green. That's all these are. And these can be moved around. So everybody has these on their charts. Very, very simple to use. But I want you to notice how the price went. We broke it. This is where I got in as soon as we broke on it. We looked on a lower time frame. I got in, took my profit. I could have done it again if I wanted to. I'd have had a little bit of emotional inventory, and then I'd have hit my profit again. Then I could have done it again and hit my profit again. That's the last time we visited the red line. And then it went down. And we said yesterday that we had all the room down to around 7,000. Look where we started hesitating, 7,000. And now we're in this lower 23% that we don't get in. Even though I have a nice fresh zone here, if this green wasn't here, I might consider taking something outside this 7,000 just above it and then let it move down. But if we would have held on to this particular trade, let's just say we had a trailing stop like I was doing a trailing stop. I actually got out down here on my live account. But if I wanted to trail this throughout the day, I was just doing my thing. I could have ridden this down for a while. Okay. So this was a break even trade. On the same note, we looked, and that's going to be the same picture on the Aussie as well. But we talked about the US CAD before we left, and the same kind of picture where I got in when it hit the 76 and I was going to get in before it hit the blue, took my profit. I could have done the same thing a couple of times as well before it finally had its overall move past the blue. Once we had this strong candle out here, this was a pretty good indication that this was probably going to stay above the blue. And this will be the area that I would have looked to get in at this point. That's probably still the area that I would consider getting in if everything was equal today. That's another strong area, but I could not get into it. And we talked about these fib lines having some sort of, they're not magic, but you can see how prices hesitated when it got to the 23, came back down, moved back up. It got to the 38, hesitated a little bit, moved down, moved up and out, got to the 50, hesitated, moved up near to the 61, and then started doing an ebb and flow back down. But it uses these numbers. It was a perfect picture of a range which you could have played yesterday and still fit the parameters of what we're talking about, 7 pips, scalping type stuff. So I just thought that was interesting last night when I actually got done with the phone call with Al. I looked at the charts and started going, oh, wow, it all worked out just like we said it would. So that's kind of what I wanted to show Al this morning before you got too far.
Let me
so
see.
I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay, stop sharing. I got to see if I saw your screen. I got to find my screen again. Okay,
pretty amazing how it.
Check to see if I think we might have Eva in here. We got to bring Eva over here. Hang on.
We don't have to. We can leave her over there.
There we go.
You brought her over.
I brought her over. Yeah, it's too late now.
It's too late now. It's over.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the. Let's see. To the.
What's your news for today?
Well, I got to find the news and I got to find my, there we go. Screen sharing. Let's get my screen set up here. Okay, now you should be seeing the Hercules.
Mhm.
Okay, so basically what we're looking for which is strong, which is weak for the day. And you can see I'm really focusing on this 30-minute chart, which is the lower left-hand ones, the gray ones. These are the ones I focus on more, especially with the type of trading that we do during this session. And I'm looking at the Japanese yen and the US dollar are strong. Actually, the yen, the dollar, and the Canadian dollar are the three strongest. And you can see that the New Zealand dollar is the weakest, the Aussie is weak, and the British pound. So we're going to be focusing on the yen in the US for against the Aussie, New Zealand. So basically, US pairs are going to be strong to just about everything else. Yen are going to be strong about to everything else. So as we look through the, let's see, we got to look through the news here too. And this is the my FX book, the news. I'm not seeing anything red folder today. A lot of greens, a couple orange folders, but nothing really major going on today. And I don't expect we'll have something tomorrow. It looks like we have a little bit of Euro news here around 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's some high impact. Remember, today's the 29th, so tomorrow's going to be the last day of the month. So we should probably see some volatility tomorrow. Let's check the Forex Factory and see if that's anything. That's a correlator. Never mind. Here's the Forex Factory. Again, the Forex Factory doesn't have anything today either. And so a pretty quiet news day. So we'll just be pretty much looking at the charts today. And we'll see what we have in store for what we have on our, we'll check to see what the arrow has for any 15. I'm looking primarily for any 15-minute alerts that popped up. Nothing there. And nothing. It's been pretty quiet on the alert situation. So let's take a look at some of the U.S. pairs. Let's see where the U.S. pairs here. Use like U.S.
Your weakest one was the Kiwi, so you could go
Kiwi.
either
So
Kiwi yen, or Kiwi US, either one.
Kiwi yen or Kiwi. Let's try the Kiwi yen here to see what this one looks like.
And I just went short on this one. Again,
let's see. Okay,
the numbers look good.
What I'm looking at right now, I'm looking to see where we're going to draw our fib lines. And so I'm going to be looking at the overall range. Right now you can see I'm looking to be taking this thing short. Again, the yen is the second currency of the pair. The yen was the strongest. So we'll be looking for a downward pressure. Now I'm looking to see what kind of a range I can find. So right now, if I look over to the left, right now I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out at me. This is all pretty flat. This is kind of a gradual descent based. This was a little bit of a stronger move, stronger move. I'm looking to see where is this bottom going to bottom out, and I see there's a green line on the bottom. So as I scroll up and see, there's a lot of red, a little bit of green. I'm going to keep on scrolling to the left until I can find the range that I'm looking for primarily, and this is what I'm looking at right now. Here's where this is back on the 18th of. This is all the way back in the 18th of March. So I'm on a daily chart, and as you can see where this thing is now starting to break down. I like this move here. This is a sharp move down, base, sharp move down, came back. It's retesting the blue line. So I'm going to be using this range here for my Fibonacci, primarily because I can use the top of this arrow depending on what the range is. If I can look over here, this is a, this is the yen pair. So basically we're looking at about 272 pips. That's a big move on that. So I'm just going to use this little area up here to draw it down because we know this part of here has been retested. So I will just see what kind of range we have with that. So I'm going to take it from here to here. So I go all the way to a daily chart in order to find out where this green zone was. If I take it all the way over here to the left and see where the green zone started, no red zones at all in between, and take it on up here. And I'll look and see what kind of a range I have in between my 61, my 50, and my 38. See what kind of range we have with that. That's about a 55 pip range, which is a pretty big range, but it would suit for the higher time frame. But you can see like right now from this big move up, it retraced back to the almost back to the original point. So this is my bottom 25%. It came into the bottom 25%, pulled back out, and now it's coming back into retest. We could probably have a little bit of a trend. We have a trend line. Now, this is all This is a much higher time frame than I'm used to using to find these areas. But on this particular case, this is the move we were looking at. This is the retest. And we have another trend line coming down from the top. Once I draw these trend lines, I can see that it's respecting this upper trend line, and it's respecting the lower trend line. This is where it came, this big move came up, came back down, retested this, came back up. This is really the range which we're looking at right now. So the fact that we were able to, and this range is still plenty big. This is still a 230 pip move on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disregard the Fibonacci that I drew, because I found a range that's a little bit more suitable for the type of trading that we're doing. And I'm going to use these pivot lines, this pivot here and this pivot here. And we'll see what kind of a range that gives us. So I go from here to here. And I check this thing out and see what this range is between here. That's about a 36 pip move. That's really a lot more palatable for what we're looking at. I'm going to come back over here to my 15-minute chart and see where my high and low areas are. So maybe scroll up a little bit more, a little bit tighter here.
And hopefully your eyes are being drawn to the 77.60 area where it was once demand, finally broke through. And that becomes a nice range place as well. He's drawing it.
So right here's my upper 25%. Right here. Here's my lower 25%. This was a good example where you have to try to figure out what range, where the pivots are that fits in the range of the type of trading that you want to do. Now, if you're a swing trader, you could use those higher time frame ranges. But if we're only looking for 7 pips on our trades, and you have a zone like this for this is a now the yen pair, the yens are a little bit different just because of the fact that it's 100 to 100 yen, roughly to $1. So it kind of messes with the decimal points a little bit, but that's still like a 20 pip range, 26 pip range in there. That's a lot better than having a couple hundred pips in there. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna mark our target zones. This could be right here, so it could be the 1. This could be the middle one. And then over here is the lower one. Okay, so right now we have our upper zones, we have our lower zones. Now we're going to see where this thing came out of, came up here, made the high, pulled back out. It's just going flat right now, and it never really got back up into this upper 25%. So, but it is right now. It's playing right inside this middle third area, and we did see the break off of this, and this is on a 15-minute chart. You'll see where this thing had a 15-minute break, strong move down. Here's a little basing, and we know that we have the pressure to the downside.
It's funny the lines that you've drawn, how they coincide with what I've already got.
So, yeah. So right now we've had, this was the upper trend. We have our upper 25%. It hit the first target, hit the second target, but we still have this other third down here. And we know that this target here is, right now, this thing is 19 pips away from where that target is. If I go to my 5-minute chart and see where, you can see where it was basing overnight. We keep on scrolling down until we can start getting the picture that we're looking for. We have the red zone, pull back, come back up, retested the red zone, and now it's starting to break. I'm gonna go to my 1-minute chart and scroll down even tighter and get the picture. Now the picture we're looking for was, here's the first move down, here's the retrace. Here's the second move, the next move down. It broke through. So right now we're looking at, what I'm looking for is, I see where we had another zone, it broke, coming on down. And I'm gonna look for the retrace before, and I'm gonna see, hopefully it's gonna retrace before it gets down here. So we have a move down, come back looking for the 23 to 50 zone we're looking for the retracement target. And that's gonna be right up into this 23, let me get this drawn. So this is the area that I'm looking for this thing to pull back and retrace to, from the 23 to the 50. Now this was actually there was another, this is a little drop, a little retrace. And it had a little whip-de-do here. It dropped, retraced back to this line twice. And we'll see what kind of range we have. Let me expand this out here a little bit. Now we're getting the pullback into our zone. And we know that the strength is still with the yen. And we go back before we take any trades, we just double check that to make sure that hasn't changed any for us. And the yen is still strong. The kiwi is still weak. We're still good there. Yen is strong. The kiwi is weak. Still good there. So we still want, again, we don't want to be taking this contrary to the strength of what the Hercules has given us. We're getting a pullback. And we're looking for it to come back into the zone. It did came back into the zone. We'll pull up our chart here and see if we can be ready to take a trade on this.
I'm already in, but I went early when I saw your chart.
And so it came up, pulled back, and I could do a little bit of I'm just going to go into a sell in this one here. And we'll put our stop and targets in. This is going to be 15, 150 on the stop, 70 on the target. And we'll readjust here. And now the target, it pulled back to you can see where on this move down, it pulled back to the 50 to 38% level. Pulled back to 38. I can come down here to where our target is. Our target is going to be, actually target's only 7 pips down there. Let me see if I can get this in there a little tighter.
I love the Hercules tool.
This is where our 7, so if we have, here's our entry, there's our target, there's roughly 7 pips, and we're looking to come down into this area. Now, actually, we could actually utilize this orange fib line that we drew, because we know we got through the first target up here. We're at the second target. Right now, we're in between there was a first target, here's a second target, here's our third target on this down move. So we could actually use this as our target. I like using just the 7 pips and getting in and getting out again. We had the retrace, came back up into our entry zone, and now it's moving down. We still have another little trend line as we can follow this trend down. From here's the upper pivot, here's the first hit. Right now, as long as it can stay below this trend line, as long as it can stay below this moving average, we should be good to go all the way down to the next line. And we wait. Let's see. I'm still working on these S&P trades. This is more of a swing trading thing that I'm doing. I'm using this for a little bit, like in case anybody's looking at these S&P 500 trades. When you kind of get caught into an area, I'm working this a little bit like you would with gearbox and with variable, where as it gets further and further away, I just keep on taking more sells. I don't want to be taking buys on the S&Ps when it's hitting all-time highs. I'm trying to find out where it turns around. I take another sell. I did get into one sell yesterday, and I did get back out of it. Now I'm back into another sell. But eventually it's going to come, and it'll work this way out of this area, especially when it's hitting all-time highs. It's going to come back to these areas. And so right now I'm just going to be playing the retracement pullbacks, and then take another sell position. And eventually I'll be able to work these out to a profit. So don't pay too much attention to that. This is what we're looking at right now, this New Zealand yen. We had the pullback, we're coming back in, just looking at our profit. Coming in our profit zone. Now we may have been able to take a little bit bigger position on this one just because of the yen pair. That's where the pip calculator comes in. I've got these pretty much all set for about a half a lot size for most of it works out pretty well for the size account that I have. Are there any questions about this particular trade that we're looking at right now? How you doing this morning, Eva? I don't think I heard your voice yet this morning.
No, I didn't want to interrupt you guys. So, I'm
When
not
did
doing
that?
well, thanks.
When
How you
is when
guys
has that ever stopped you?
Well, you know, I've grown up a little bit.
Don't do that.
Yeah, all good here. Just intent on what
Yeah.
you're doing.
I liked using this where we had this red zone coming in. This is the arrow zone. If you can catch the point right where it came out of the zone, that's usually a good spot to use for your range Fibonacci. For this is the kind of what I call the lower time frame Fibonacci, where you right now we're just trying to find the big move down, the pullbacks, get into the trade, catch that next move down, get out, find the next pullback, get into the trade, and just work our way down. And eventually, this thing will probably work its way all the way down to this next target zone, which is right here at the 7707 area.
I got in at 77.28.
And that's right about where it said I got in at 77. You got in a little bit earlier than I did. I got in at 26. But right here is the first 7 pip target.
I'm actually going for nine pips on this.
So if you want to hang on to the trade longer, you can just keep your stop above this moving average. I can certainly move my stop down a lot closer here. I like keeping at least above a trend line, a moving average line, and also like trying to keep it above these zones. So I was able to tighten up my stop a little bit here. Right now, rather than having 15 pip, I've got 10 pip stop. Still well out of harm's way. This thing can come back. If this thing reverses and starts breaking this level here, especially where our entry target was to get in, which is this area. If it starts breaking that, because that was the last pullback, and you can see it got up to the 61% pullback. If it starts breaking this zone, that means something's wrong with the trade. And especially if you're going to target before it comes back there, that means something's wrong. That's the time to get out rather than waiting for a full stop. Just wait and see if it gets you out and it kind of gives you a head fake. You can always get back in again, but it saves yourself a little bit of the anxiety of having this thing reversing on you and just keep on going up. If the trade plan works out and the trade fits the plan, it will hit the target before it's going to get you out, before it comes back up in here. If not, something's wrong and you need to reassess the trade. Like I said, we're getting very close to my target. If I look and see what the pips are. Well, actually, I got my pip counter over here. I've got +3 pips. I like to see at least, I want to see it get up to 5, preferably 7. Let's see what kind of spread do we have on this one. We have a 7, 6, about a 1.6, 1.5 spread. That's just, the spread is an okay spread on that.
What's our Hercules saying still?
And Hercules should be saying it's still strong to the yen. Yen is still strong in all time frames. It is giving up a little bit up here on the 5-minute, but not too much. Dollar is still
Kiwi
strong.
is low.
The Kiwi's still the weakest one of the bunch. Slide that up here a little bit.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah, as long as that thing stays like that, this thing should come in and hit my target. I said I usually only ever go for 7 pips, and then I just move on to the next trade. So while we're waiting for that, let's take a look and see if there's anything else developing, see if there's another trade out there. And we'll keep an eye on this one. So I'm going to move this thing over. Bring this back down. Any questions about it? If you have any questions, please feel free to. Here's a British cat. Now we said that the British was weak, and here's a British cat. Let's take a look and see what this one says. Get this one up. We had a bounce arrow go, but it came back right down into this trade. Now right here, as I'm looking at this one, let's take a look and see what Hercules is saying with this between the British and the Canadian dollar. The British, they're both right here in the middle. They're both right here in the middle. They're both they're right together. There's not a lot of spread in between. So I'm not going to be real in favor of taking this because we don't know which one's going to prevail. The CAD is taking a little bit of, getting a little bit stronger against on this 50-minute. So I probably, but it keeps flying back and forth. So not a real clear direction on this one.
It's ugly on the 5-minute chart.
As I'm looking through through this little pivot here, we got pivot. There's the anchor. There's a hit. We did get a little bit of a head fake down here. It faked down, came back up, went back down, came back up. And right now we're right in the middle of this green zone right here. And as I draw this over here, I'll just draw this to where this nice little, actually there's a little pivot right there. You can see, so what I do like about this one is I'm looking to see, that's something there. I'm looking to see where yesterday's high and yesterday's low were. And so here's yesterday's low, here's yesterday's high, here's the middle of the range. So right now it's playing in between this range right here. So we can use that. And usually I expect that you can see where it has a little bit of a downward trend, but this point right here and this point are pretty much right. This one actually broke through on the top of this one, but this is still the low. And right now it's hanging right around all the moving averages. The fact is so clustered right in here. I'm not real big on taking this trade just because of there's nothing real definitive about which way it's going to go. And you can see that with the Hercules. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put my moving averages on here and see if that tells us, gives us any other hint on where we're going with this. Yeah, all the moving averages are clustered together. I'm going to draw my fib lines. So I'm going to draw from the bottom here. I like these strong moves up, and I don't like the sideways motion. So, but when I draw the fibs, I want to draw from the strong move from one point to another. I don't want to see I don't want to see one of these lines like this. I want to see it like a rocket up, find a point, come back down, retest it. So this is where I'm going to draw the fibs. The arrow software really does show these zones really very nicely. When you have a green zone or red zone with a clear shot and then has another one in between, this is usually the area where you can start seeing this middle third zone, which in this case could be right here. Here's the one. There's the 138. There's the 50. And here's the 61. And here's my upper third. This was an arrow alert, but it's not ready to be taken in my mind. It's not ready to be taken yet. Here's the bottom third. And we have our zones in the middle. Go to a 5-minute chart and see if we can find anything that looks like it's trending at all. Now we did have this bounce arrow. This could be a bounce arrow ago. We had a green zone. It came out of this area. It had a strong move down, a strong move up. Here's the arrow. This one actually could be working to go long. We got 16 pips to the next zone. I'd like to see 20, but it does have some move to the upside of this. Let's go to a 1-minute chart and see if we can find. Here's where I left the zone. All our moving averages are in the right direction. It's crossing over the 200. This thing could be an one to take. I would like to see that we had a little bit of a pullback right here. This could be a nice little breakout here. Came back to the 23%. Have pretty much clear sailing from over here. We have I'd like to see a little bit more of a pullback on this. And we'll double check the Hercules to see if it, this could be a possible buy stop up here. It's pulling back. It already pulled back to the 23. Came back up to top, retest. This is a little basing area right up in this area. So what I'm going to do with this one, it did pull back, strong move up, pull back. I like this candle right here. It still has a lot of momentum. Double check Hercules here real quick. And we have, what was that pair? CAD what? British CAD. See where British CAD is. Cat's getting stronger, weaker. Cat's getting stronger. Cat's getting stronger. I'm not liking this as to go along with it. I'd like to see the British being stronger on that. Again, I'm just going to hold off on this one. Again, I like to see a 3-point spread. There's a 5 and a 3 on the cats. I'd like to see one more. I'd like to see the cat get a little bit stronger. And if that's the case, I'd be looking at taking this thing to the short side. And it's just not fitting the bill right now.
If there's anything you guys want to see, I'll analyze for you. Remember to put it in the Q&A for us.
Yes, now's a good time if you have something specific you want to take a look at, if you're in a trade or wants to analyze something for you. See how the cat is? The cat's the second currency of this pair. We said it was getting stronger. Look at this pullback right now. You didn't want to be taking this thing. This could have been like a little bit of a head fake. Right now, it's coming back into a relatively deep retracement. Now here's our 23. We'll draw our 23 zone, 23 to 50. As we retrace back in this thing, here's our zone that we're looking at.
Got a couple of requests, Sal, when you have time.
Okay. Okay. What do we got?
We got the German 30 and NASDAQ. I knew it was a matter of time before we got into the indices.
Yeah, German 30. Let's take a look and see what the German 30 is doing for us. Get our moving averages in here. New Zealand yen trade's not behaving very nicely. We'll take a look at that one too. German, let's see. The okay, so let's go to what kind of a range do we have here? Let's tweak this thing in here. Let's see what this range.
Averages on it.
There to there is that's a $184 move on the German 30 between the two green zones. This one has a lot of room to the upside too. This thing's been playing a lot like what the S&P's been doing. It's just been, let's see, it's kind of making new highs again. Boy, oh, are they over here? See if I can get past this. I know what to do. Get this thing up here. There's this out. Let me move this out of the way so I can see where the tops are. Oh boy. I'd have to be using the fact this thing's starting to test this upper zone. I'm going to have to use this pivot here and this pivot down here. And check my upper 30. Right now it's in the upper 25%. So I don't want to be taking it long unless it broke through these zones. I'd be looking at, right now I'm looking for a reversal to go short on this one.
Check out the lower time frames, Al. They're all pretty much longs.
Oh, they're all pretty much longs. Okay, so let me get this zone up here set. Let me mark the middle. Here's my target. Here's my target. Here's my target. These three are, these are going to be the target. And actually, this is the area that I can see where this thing, if this thing's going to come in, I'm actually going to be really looking at this area down here for this thing to pop back down and come into here. But I do kind of expect this part here to hold on a retracement. But we'll be in and out of the trade before then. So let's go to our 5-minute chart so I can trim that and expand it here.
One little red zone, the MMA are doing what they're supposed to.
Yep, here's our crossover. Here's our 513. All the moving average is saying it's still going long, but we have this red zone right up in here. So I'd like, if we can start getting, it came up here, formed the zone, came back up. Oh boy, this, if it wasn't so, So if I can get this looks a little bit better. It did come back down. It did actually, we did get the close below this moving average. This is coming up to be a retest. I do like the fact we already drew our zones. We're in the upper 25%. It's in this whole blue shaded area. Let's see where the euro is on our heat map here. The euro is relatively strong on that one. It's in the it's kind of in the middle.
It's a mixed bag,
So,
right?
yeah. I say right now at this point, I pretty much have to wait for a little back arrow to say that we had the bounce coming down. It's got too much pressure to the upside, but it's also hitting. It's got too much. It's too close to the high here to be trying to take it. Let's see, that's $50 move. That's not too. That's a lot of move there still. I say if it's got to get through this little red zone before I could take it long. And even then, the most I could do is take a target, maybe about part up to here.
All you really need is like a $5 move. Take profit on that one on the German.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. If I don't,
you still end up with a profit of $6. So
yeah, the only problem I have is that we're taking a buy such high into this zone. I mean, it could break out. Let me see if the next zone is higher. Let me see if there's anything above this. There is some room up to the. This is the. Oh, stop. We do have a line up there. Yeah, actually, this thing we do have a. This is the. I think this is an all-time high right here.
So, and that's like $20 move away, right?
Right.
Oh, no,
yeah.
Now that you've moved it up higher.
Yeah, you got six. That's a $60 move away.
Yeah, you only need a $5 move.
That's true. That's true. And the red zone's just gone. I say we could probably take this.
Yeah, after the red zone, I actually been watching it. So that's my plan as well. As soon as that little red zone disappears off the 5-minute, I'm in.
Let's see, on the 5-minute, yeah, we got this red zone right here on the 5-minute. Let's mark that up. This may be a good call here. We have this little zone right in here. And we know that this is the zone that we're looking at for it to get through. If it can break through that, then the next target is going to be all the way up in, where did I draw that line? Up in here. This whole zone could go away and we could get a break to the top of this.
Yeah, that's a huge move. You don't need, that kind of profit.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And this is a really big zone. And this zone is a lot bigger than, that's just like a $112 move up zone. We don't need to go quite that high. Let me see if we can draw this thing a little bit differently. We can take it from this pivot to this pivot. Let's try that. See what that looks like. Let me see objects. Let me get that Fibonacci out of the way here. And let's draw this one for the pullback and then a retest. Here's a pull, there's the zone. Here's the pullback to the 50. And then the extension would be up here at the 50, which is going to be right up in this red zone. We can probably take this thing. Let's go to 1-minute chart. 1-minute charts, no zone there. Wait till this thing breaks through. Let's wait until it breaks through this little zone. If it breaks through, we can do I may do a buy stop on this.
I'm going to do that too.
I'll take it right here to the top. If it breaks to the top of this, then we'll be in this trade. Let's take a look. How did we do on what happened with our New Zealand trade? We got stopped out on our New Zealand yen trade. Okay, so what's going on with that one? This thing's still going up. So you see with this one, we were profitable a little bit. It came back down. It couldn't get my 7 pips out of it, and now reversed on me. Got my stop out. I did move my stop a little bit tighter. I did say if it broke through this zone, we're looking at going a different direction. And we have only 5 pips to this one. So here's our move up. Let's see what kind of direction do we have now with New Zealand yen. This is one reason I'm not a big fan of the yen pairs. Yen is still, New Zealand's starting to gain some strength against the yen on this 15-minute. The yen is still stronger though. Broke this trend line, so let's redraw this whole thing here. And if you take your hit, you take your hit and you move on. Let's see what this range is here from here. That's 20 pips, like a little bit more than that on the range. I'm just going to pass on this one. Let's go back to the German 30 here. Still not in that trade.
It's almost through that zone though. It's working at it.
Yeah, it's looking at this area right here. If it breaks through, so we're only looking at the $5 move. With the fact that here's a retracement to the 50%. Here's our fib line. Retrace back to the 50% zone. Here's our 23 to 50. Retrace right back to the 50. So once it breaks here, we're looking at the 50% area up top here. And that's going to be right at this. This little area right in here would be our target. And that's going to be, if we get in at, we have it set for 713.40 and 5 pips be 718, which is actually way much lower. We can be looking at this 38. I like this 38 here for a target.
I'm in.
15,733. I'm in as well. Am I in? No. Am I in? I did not take this trade.
You're not in?
I'm not in. Let's go buy. Oh, I know what. Oh, let's see. 0.05 is what I went on this one. There we go. And I'm going to be looking. So I got in at what? Where did you get in, Eva?
I got in at 15,713.87.
Okay, you got in $3 ahead of me. Yeah, I have mine set at 13 and didn't take the trade for some reason. I don't know what happened there. So my target is going to be, I'm going to be looking at this target right here at 15,735 for a target.
Well, I've got my target set to 718.87, $5 away.
5. $735. Yeah, I got right here on that line here. So we'll see what happens with this one. All the moving averages in the correct direction. Let's go to 1 minute chart. We'll just make sure they stay that way. We had the breakout. Here's our entry. Still staying above the green line. Everything's in the right direction. The green, yellow, blue, orange, and then here's our 200. So it's the 200, the 62, the arrow moving average, 13, a 5, and it's pushing up there.
I've reached my target.
Oh, you already got your target out?
Yeah. I'm in, I'm out.
All right. A winning trade.
A winning trade. Yeah. So that's probably about 7 to 8%. That's it. That's all I need for the day.
Yeah. I'll just keep an eye on this one.
It's looking good though. I mean, look at the moving averages. They're perfect.
Yeah, this is right now it's really respecting this green moving average on the,
Yeah.
you know, like you had this little pullback, respect the green one. Nice little push up.
You're almost $20 away though. So just keep an eye on it because it
Yeah.
may turn on you. That's
So
why
if I
like
got
to
in,
take
yeah,
profits at 5.
if I got, so I'm looking at 21 as the first, is my $5 target.
Yeah.
At 21, let me just mark that's right here. Right about in there. Don't want to turn another winning trade into a losing trade.
No. And
That,
especially with the indexes, you know, you want to see you've hit your first target if that's what you had. So let's see if it'll go.
we're getting a little bit of a wick on this one. We'll see how this one closes out.
Yeah, don't forget it's the index. It doesn't move the same as currency. So
Yeah, that's right.
once it starts messing around,
Get out.
sometimes it will carry on how it started, but you know what? You're better safe than sorry sometimes in my book. Tie off the bag, as they say.
Yeah.
See,
You
one
never
more.
lose. You never lose money taking profits early. You may
No.
leave some on the table, but you don't lose money that way. I mean, that closed out with a higher close above than the previous one. So right now it's still, and unless I get a lower close, I mean, it could pull back, but as long as it doesn't close lower than this candle, I'm still good. I don't want to see it close below the green line.
And it all depends on your style too. I mean, Al's trading on a 1-minute chart, and that to me is a little bit more emotional currency that I don't want to put on the table. But some people can handle it better, like Al.
It's fighting to get up there. I mean, it's finding some. As soon as it pops up, the seller's going to push it back down again a little bit. So I'm not going to play with this too much long. I'll see if it can do one last little push up here. I like this area for a target, but we can even oftentimes do what I'll do is I'll take this zone right here like we have, and I'll move it down about halfway.
Okay, you just got an alert for a German 1-minute buy, so you still seem to be okay.
So good. I'm on my 1-minute chart. I don't see the buy though. Where'd the buy go? Where's the
No,
buy?
it didn't pop up, did it?
Was that this one here that just popped up? I've seen that happen before. We get a buy alert, and it's like one that's already that this thing pops up down here after, like, well, I don't really need to know that at this point.
See, it's hovering right around that $5 point.
Yeah,
This
sure is.
This is another good reason why I like just the $5, because then I can move on and find another trade if I want to do that. I'm so impatient. I can't sit there and watch it forever, you know, going up and down. It makes me nuts. But with patience, look at Al. I mean, look at his take profit. He's getting up to where he.
Yeah, in fact, I'm just going to go and close that one out right there. I still suspect it may come out here, but I said at least this keeps me positive for the day anyway, because I had that one losing trade earlier.
I mean, it's still good to go up, but
yeah. Now what we could do is if it comes back up, I mean, this is our first target. This is the target we were actually. I mean, like I said, here's where I had that first target right here on this 38% line, and I said I drew the line between the 38 and the 50.
And it may very well reach it. But you know what? It could very well turn around and go the opposite way.
Absolutely. So a lot of times when I saw this pull back into this area right in here to the 38, that's where my target was. And last time I'll just lead a little bit. Usually I'll lead it for half the zone. So I'll just move this down to about halfway, and right there I've been out. Yeah, but when I saw it stalling around here, I saw this last little push. I figured that a lot of times it'll push up, get in there, it'll push up and pull back right just about as fast. So that's why I'm not going to mess around with this too much. But this is a nice little chart move right there.
That was a good move. Thanks, Eden.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Eva, for calling that one out.
Oh, no problem. Plus,
Or
we also want
whoever,
NASDAQ.
whoever called it. Thank you for that. Nice little trade there. And let's see anything else we have here. Oh, the S&P. Let's see what the S&P's got showing for us. Actually, I already have this thing drawn out. I think I do right here. Here's my S&P. It's making another new run at the all-time highs. They will let me see this here. Let me just take this one off. Here's a new chart. There's the alert. We have an arrow right here in the red zone. Don't like that. But like I said, we're making new all-time high. It's going to probably hit the 4,300 mark, and it probably will do that today. And then it's going to, you can see it came up to the 3,800. Bounced back last night, had a big drawdown, but here's 4,300. It's going to be looking at this area right in here. It's going to be looking at this number. 43 is going to be looking at 4,303. There's going to be a little zone right up in here. I would be looking that this thing's going to come on up. I do not want to be a buyer as it's making all-time highs. That's saying it's not going to go up higher. I just don't want to be caught with a buy at the all-time high just to have it reverse on me. So right about in this area right here, I'd be looking for a little bit of a target. This thing's going to probably go for a target. But, I mean, there's a good chance it's going to hit the 4,300. But also remember, we're at the end of the month. And this had some huge gains this month. If I come into the daily chart, you can see it came all the way back to, let's see, where's our June here? This was the thing that got everybody earlier this month in June. It opened the month, made a new low, retested this little trend line right in here, made a new low, and now it's making new all-time highs. This was an all-time high. This was an all-time high. Now it's making new all-time highs. It actually has a little bit of a channel going on to the top side. This one will eat your lunch. Oh, don't know that. I don't want to do that.
Yes, that's what it's doing right now.
I just want to make sure I don't have a trade on there. I thought that's one problem with the 74 platform. Sometimes I think I'm grabbing the indicator and I grab the one of my open buy stop areas. Trying to grab this trend line here. Let's do it this way. This is pretty much the area where this thing could be. So there's no telling where this thing's going to stop, to be honest with you. But I just want to make sure that if I'm going to wait for a pullback before I take it long. I want to make sure there's some room to the upside so that if I do get caught with a long near the top, there's still some room for it to come back and get filled before it has to make another new high. So, you know, I'm just letting this thing go. As it goes more and more against me, I'm just going to take another position. Eventually, I'm going to be kind of like, and actually this last position should have been like 8.1. And just start adding positions, because as it gets up higher to the, and when it snaps back, all these will become back to being positive again, and I can close all this out. But right now, I'm only at like a 15% drawdown on these. And that's still within my long-term risk tolerance for as a swing trade type of thing. It's not my normal scalping technique, but it's one that I'm willing to do with some of these. This is pretty much to show you some other techniques of how to get in and out of some trades that go against you without taking the stop. But anyway, don't like this, making new highs. I'm not going to take any trade with this. I need a stronger pullback before I would get back in, and then we'll take another short. So
How about we look at the NASDAQ? That's another one that Eden's requested that we check out.
Okay. And we're going to go to the 30-minute. Here's our zone right here. Here's our range. Here's our 30-minute range. Let's see, this is, yep, this is yesterday's range. Nice big move yesterday on the high, and it's coming up. We have a nice little red zone there. Again, I'd be looking for this thing to pull back out of the range. Here's where it left the green zone. Here's where it went into the red zone. Red zone's up here. Find our upper 25%. Going into this area right here. There's the upper 25. Here's the lower 25 right in this area. Here's our 3 targets. Target 1, target 2, target 3. And now we could get rid of these fibs right here and look for the retracement fibs. We have our zones marked. Now we can go to our lower time frame. Here's a nice move up, hit the zone, came back down. Here's a retracement right in here. Pulled up to the 50 to 60%. We're below the blue line. Here's our first target, be the 0 line is the first target, and the next line would be the 50 to 60 zone. Now we're still in the upper 25%, but this is a pretty good size range if I'm looking at this correctly. That's a $43 range on the, and so remember the NASDAQs are playing, the indexes are playing, they're a different animal. They don't play the same game that the Forex plays.
Yeah.
You have to take a little bit different consideration here. And I'm still working my methodology out. I'm still using the same basic methodology, but the parameters seem to be a little bit different as far as what size positions to use. And here's my 23 to 61%, pull back. My target's going to be down here at the, let's see, hit the 6, it wicked up into 61. So 61 to 50 area right here. So I'm going to mark the target, the extreme target, which would be down here at the 61 to 50. And I would slide this one up just a little bit, about halfway up. And see if we have what, I don't have my Fibonacci's on. Let me get my Fibonacci's on. I like this. This thing's starting to move down. NASDAQ. Oof. We have a little trend going on here at the bottom. We had a little bit of a bounce off of that. If it can break here, then we're looking at coming down to this area. I'd probably want a sell stop right around in this area. I'd like to see it close below, a lower close than this area. I'd like to see it close below this trend line. If it just wicks down, I'm not interested in taking it. I want to see it close on that. I'd like to see a 5-minute close below the trend line. We have an upper trend line. Here is the pivot high. Pull back down. Here's the first retrace. Here's our trend line. Here's our wedge. And right now it's playing in between this trend line and this bottom trend line. And the range on this right now is, it's about $16 range. Let's go to a 1-minute chart and see what we have. We have a little red zone right there. We pay attention to that. That's right where this trend line hit. We have a zone. We have a green. So right now it's amazing how this red line and this one form our 2 little zones that we have. And if you put the other moving averages up on here, you'll see that it's consolidating. There's probably, all these moving averages are probably consolidating into this thing. Indicator, moving averages, exponential 13, let's see where that is. right here. 13's right over the arrow moving average. Put the 5 on here too. Might as well do that while we're at this moving average. Change this to a 5. Make this green. Okay. And you can see they're all bundled up right here together.
Yeah, it looks like it's consolidating.
Yeah, it's consolidating. So again, you don't know which way it's going to go. I'd like to see a breakout of this range and then maybe head for it. But let's see, we look and see how many green zones and red zones we have. We're about even. We got 2 red, we have 2 green. So I get 15-minute chart and see what that is. Lots of green on the bottom. So from a higher time frame, it's certainly in an uptrend on a higher time frame. So there's no trade here. It's right now there's no direction on it. We'll just keep this in the laurels here and see what else we have. Anything else? How's our time doing?
Where are we at? We're at
30 minutes.
8:30.
We got another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And let's see, look, get a lot of 1-minute alerts. I'm not interested in taking the 1-minute alerts. Here's the British CAD. British CAD. You have that on 15. We got one right down here, British CAD. This thing's starting to break down. We have our zone set coming into a green zone. I think we may have missed this one, this last move on this one. Let's see. We have our higher time frame. I'm just going to redraw these Fibonacci's. Can everybody still hear me? Test.
You're good.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I think my earbud just went dead. I had to switch earbuds. Okay, so we have our zones. We have our target zone set. We have our upper 25. We have our lower 25. We can see what happens with this. Everything's moving in the right direction. British CAD, let's see where it is on our Hercules. British, the CAD is stronger, so we're looking into the downside. CAD is stronger. 3 and 6 and a 3. So we have enough room to the strength of the CAD. And that's the second currency of the pair. So we're looking at a strength to the downside, which is what we have right now. We have our higher time frames drawn already. So now we're looking for the pullback. So I'm going to draw from this little pivot high to this low and see if we get a pullback to enough room to take a trade on this. Here's 23 to the 50, came right up into the 50, wicked up. And downside. Can anybody still hear me? Test.
Sorry, I can hear you out.
Okay. All right. Yeah. When everything
Yeah, you're
goes so
still good.
silent, I'm just thinking I'm talking to myself. Okay. As long as I know you're there, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, we're here.
I'm just trying not to cough in your ear.
I
Yeah, we
appreciate that.
appreciate that, Brian.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's a gift. I'm still
So
short the Kiwi yen.
here's my 50-23 zone. You didn't get stopped out, I take it.
Nah.
Yeah, I got stopped out. And so this is a nice little pullback. Everything is starting to hook out. If we get a close below this green line, now we do have this zone right here, which I don't like that part. That's like right there. Let's see how much room we have. If it breaks through the bottom, how much room do we have? I don't see anything over here close by. I just want to see where my other targets are. We do have this little zone right in here. This is actually our target. The orange line is our target. And probably, how much room do we have to that? And again, it's only 4 pips. I said I like seeing at least 15 pips to my target zone. I'm not getting that. So there's not enough room. If it breaks, we have to look and see where we are on the left-hand side of the chart to see if there's anything over there that we can put our hat on. Here's the bounce off of this orange line. Again, this thing's only a couple pips away. We're already at 71.03. It's only 3 pips to this target. If it breaks through that, then the question is, how far is it to our zone down here? And then that would be a little bit better. We got 15 pips. But oftentimes when it breaks the 3rd level of our mid zone, it doesn't always get down because it's actually making a higher low than it did way back over here. I'll keep on drawing until we can find it. Here's a strong up. Here's a little basing right in this area right in here. This would be a area that I'd be looking at. 70.92 is over here, 70.92. So I'm looking at this little rally. There's a little bit of a base here, and this is where the move came back out. So it's probably going to be looking to maybe retest this little zone right in here. Now that does give us enough room to where it is right now almost. So the moral of the story is if it breaks this green zone, we have some room before it gets to our target area. And we have another green zone right here. So if it can break through that, we have enough room to the downside. But right now, with these bounces off of that, I'm not in a big hurry to take that. How are we doing today on our trades for the day here? We're still $20 for the day. That's not too bad. One of those closed out overnight. See how this red line, it just sort of wicked down here into the green zone. It's fighting to get through here. So again, I'm not going to play around with it. If it pulls back up more distinctly, I say I would expect to maybe come down, tag this thing, maybe wick around, and then head back on up again. So I'm just not going to play with it. Let's move on to the next trade, next one to look at. Let's check our heat map and see if we have anything in here. What's strong? U.S. dollar is strong to the Aussie, strong to New Zealand. Let's take a look at that. So we got some of our U.S. dollar pairs. Let's see if I can find them. There's U.S. Swiss, U.S. CAD, New Zealand, U.S. There we go. That's the one I was looking for. Let's see what this one's telling us. Here's the last zone up. Here's a retreat. It's coming in to retest this lower 25. And this zone here is, that's only that's a 200 pip. Yeah, that's a 200 pip zone. That's good. Start with the 15 and see what we have from off the 15. $62. This is, I like this area right in here. So I'm gonna see where this green zone started. It's not my favorite move up. It's still kind of the lazy move. But this was the origin. See, if you look and see where how the move, look how steep this one is, and look how gradual this one is. This is really the better move, but it's really got a big range to it. I think at this point, where I'm just going to be looking at is, this is a nice little move down coming into this area. I'm going to see what it does when it gets through this, from this zone. Even though it's not, doesn't have the same angle, it's not bad. And this was for the week, I think. This is 22nd. Let's see, 28. This week started on the, what today was the day? Today's the 29th. This week started on the 27th. So this is the week's move right now. You know, when the drawings aren't just, when things just don't look quite right, it's better to just stay away from them. So I'm looking for a picture. Right now we are in the lower 25%. Let's see what these ranges are here. 16, that's a good range right there. So I'll keep this range. We have a green zone, no zones up before we get to this top one, and then starting to build some zones coming down. But right now we're coming down into the lower 20. I'm going to be looking for a pullback to maybe come up and retest these three middle zones on this. Let's get our moving averages in here before I get too far. Template, load, get the moving averages in. Here we go. Just one more time here. Here's our range. All our moving averages go in the right direction, coming right down into this little green zone. This one may or may not hold. It's on a 30-minute chart, so that's a fairly strong time frame for that to hold. So go from here to here. Spread it out a little bit. Here's my lower 25. Here's my upper 25. You can see it's building some new zones from that area. Put my targets in. Now these targets are going to be the same targets whether you're going from the bottom up or you're going from the top down. It's still the same target because everything, it comes into a zone, it comes back to the mean. Goes up to the zone, comes back to the mean. So these targets are going to hold until it breaks out of this range, out of these blue lines, these blue sections. These will be the targets I'm going to be looking for it to come revert back to. And we're going to mark, I'm just going to mark this zone so I have this zone on all time frames. And I'll go to my 5-minute chart. One more time. This would be the target. This would be where the top of that green zone is that we're looking at. There's 10 pips. It's already in the lower 25%. So right now it could be, it could spend a lot of time down in this area. Again, I prefer to see it come out, come back in again with a higher low, and then try and start trending up to these areas. Right now, it's like trying to catch a falling knife. You just don't know how deep it's going to go. There is some room down to the green line, but we don't know what the momentum's like really right now. Let's check and see what our New Zealand, US, that's New Zealand. So right now, the US is strong on all 8 time frames. New Zealand's weak. We can probably, this one looks okay to be able to just grab a pullback on this one. Go to 1-minute chart. See if we can find a pullback. Here's a move down. See what kind of a pullback we can get on this and see if we can pull back enough to get our target. I like the spread on, I like the range on the strength. Here's the high. Find the low here. Tweak that. Here's our range, 25 to 50, right up in this area. This is our pullback area. Pulling back to the 61. And that's okay too. Got a little wick. Let's find some sellers coming in here. There's the 61. Got 2 little wicks right in there. Moving average hasn't crossed over. Find some sellers coming in. Here's our our stop could be above these 2 lines. And I'll be looking at maybe a sell stop into this area. Sell stop, boom. If it comes in, it'll get me filled. My target is going to be down below into the 61 area. This would be my target zone. If I get filled, looks like I'm about to get filled. I'm in, going for 7 pips. Here's 15 pips, 7 pips. Click on these, enter the trade. Here's my target down here. We had the momentum to our side, and my stop is all the way up here. I can certainly pull that back a little bit more. Tighten that up. We had the pullback. The green did not cross the yellow, closed below the green or in the trade. And now we're looking for this thing to break this. Here's our first target, the pivot low. Here's our first target. I want to see that get broken. If it stalls around that too much, then we may be looking at a change in direction here. But right now it looks good. Here's a nice drop, pulled back, lines didn't cross, drop, pulled back, lines didn't cross, drop, pulled back, lines did not cross. But this is the third run on this. But the strength was still to the downside. And this is my stop zone up here where this upper 25% of this down move. If it comes up and it could retest this, but if it breaks through that, then I'm going to be out of this trade. That means it's starting to go up into these little wicks right in here. Again, you always look to the left to see where the next area where the sellers came in or where the buyers took over. So I'd be looking at this little area here. I do not want to see it get, and I have my stop above here. But I did move my stop quite a bit closer to where the entry was. Here was the entry. My stop right now, I'm at 7 pip stop. So I have a 7 pip stop, 7 pip target. Taking a shot at it. You also know that this 20% zone on the higher time frame is a pretty big zone right in here. It's got a lot of room to the downside on this. Any questions, comments, levels of confusion?
Well, if there were moments of confusion, no one's owning up to it. So, oh, wait, Danielle is saying where the sellers come in and the buyers took over. Is that what Nate says is an order block? I don't know. We
Could
don't.
be. It could be. I think I understand what she's saying, what the question is. And I would say that's probably true because the institutions, what they'll do is they're going to have the market makers have a whole stack of orders in a certain area. That would be, and that's probably what the order block is talking about. A lot of sell orders up here, a lot of buy orders down here. When it comes up here, the sellers kick in. When it comes down here, the buyers kick in, and that's why you get these ranges. And so that's probably I think that's probably fair to say that that's an order block, because when the market makers have orders, they don't just have one or two. They're trying to clear out maybe 20,000 sell orders, and so they can't take it all at the same price all at the same time. So they'll put them in a block of in a range block, and as it comes up, it fills some of the orders, and and those orders are in a queue. It's like it's a first one in, first one out. So as the stack of orders gets higher, as it keeps on getting up to that range, it fills some orders, comes back out, comes back up, fills the next range of orders, and that's why you get these ranges of. And the larger the block, usually the higher the time frame that you're going to be experiencing that. So I think to answer your question, I think that's a yes to the question. I think that's a yes or no question. Nice little pullback to the 76.
Our theory is we have all the questions to your answers.
Yeah.
Don't give our secrets away.
I know. We have all the questions to your answers.
We see how this thing, with this range, it came right up into this 20%. So there's probably some sell orders right up in here. There was some when this thing came up, filled some of the sell orders. Came back down, came back up. There's still a few more orders sitting here. Comes up, fills some more orders, comes back down. Comes back down this area, it's got some buy orders coming in. As soon as it comes back down, the buy orders kick in, buyers buy, comes up here, the sellers sell, and that's why it gets into these little ranges. But when you start getting to where you have these stronger moves, the sentiment is that, okay, it's going short. It comes back to more people selling because they were trying to get out of their trades. Or they're taking, or the buyers are, or the sellers that sold here come back down, they're taking the profits. When there's a seller selling, they're buying. And so when how can I explain this? The people that were buying all the way over here, they bought it, they sold it. Comes back down, some people are buying again. But some of the ones that sold it from bought it way down here, they want to still get out with the profit, so they're starting to sell it here. But right now we got this little 20% range right up in here. So right now there's a little bit of a battle going on right here. And so you got this little wick, you got these wicks, and you have, so right now you have this zone, and this area right here is the zone where if it breaks, it could break up into here. My stop is still above this moving average. But right now there's probably a lot of sell orders being chewed up in here. Now we do have a little bit of a break of this moving average. Let me go to a 5-minute chart and see if where the moving average is. See, right now the moving average on the 5 minute is still way up in here. And actually, I'm probably okay to maybe moving that back up above this. Right now, the yellow moving average is still holding. My stop is a little bit, I'd like to move the stop up just a little bit higher on the 5 minute chart to keep a little bit more out of harm's way.
Al, 2-minute warning.
Okay, thank you.
Dang, this goes by fast.
It does.
I know.
But right now we still have everything going in our direction. We still have the green below the yellow. Now we're on a 5 minute chart now, which things go a little bit slower, but it's a little bit, 1 minute, again, a lot of times when I see these zones being penetrated, I like to see it close on a 5 minute chart, because the 1 minute can just wick you up. And those 5 1 minute candles, they can do a lot of wicking around, but it doesn't really get the stability until at least it closes on a 5 minute. You can see, like right now, this yellow 5 minute 13 moving average is still being respected. It still hasn't come and penetrated. Still, the high still respected it. I don't really need this one here. And I can move my, and so I like to keep my stop a little, I like to take my own stop away, unless I can't be watching it, I'll just set the stop. But right now our stop is still, let's see, we got into 80. It's still only 11 pip stop. It's still less than my normal 15. We have this move down. So this is a little bit, we got this little red zone right up in here. This one we have to play around with a little bit. Just keep in mind, we are in this lower 25% range. And it's finding some bottoms to it. But all this moving average is still pointing down. This one's still pointing down. These two are flattening out a little bit. So the sellers are starting to give up their position a little bit on here, and the buyers are starting to take over. But you're going to see some more sellers coming in right around this area, which is where this red zone is.
That's our time now.
Okay. All right. Any other last minute questions before we leave? And we will see everybody again tomorrow.
Very good.
Thank you so much for showing up. We appreciate every one of you being here, and look forward to you being here again tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow.
Take care, and we'll see you then.
See you guys all tomorrow. Bye.
There should be some, I don't know if there may be somebody in the other room starting at 9 o'clock. So check that out and see. And again, see you tomorrow. Bye.